Happy Snowzilla podcast, Craig.
Are we going with Snowzilla or are we going to go with David Snowy?
I had not seen that. I was going off of the commonly used Capital Weather Gang Snowzilla.
I was going off the slate at Eric Holthouse, David Snowy.
All right, I like them both. I
Both
like them
both are
both. I
acceptable.
think both are acceptable entirely.
Make winter great again.
I saw that one, and I loved how it was. I think it was someone with Capital Weather Gang tweeted out when I was like halfway through the voting, and he retweeted basically like, "Please God, anything but this."
Nice.
But I think it's actually pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny. Uh, so yeah, I hope you all are enjoying your lovely, lovely snow day. If you are listening live, if not, maybe
Um,
you're listening on the weekend when you still can't leave your house.
yeah, like our friend in England, or I'm sorry, the UK. I'm not sure that he is in England.
Yeah, I'm not confirmed about what part of the Queen's territory he resides in, but
Shout
yeah, it's
out
pretty
to
cool.
that guy. Shout out to that guy.
Yeah, are you gonna do a shout out to that guy without our friend's name here?
I don't know his name. I just
I,
know that there's a dude.
I know I'm gonna pull it up on the.
Joe, I'll just banter. We've got a listener who came to DC. I think it was 2010, and went to a couple Nats games, and somehow, sadly, stumbled upon this abomination of a podcast, and now listens and follows us on Twitter and reached out, and that's awesome.
Uh, good call with the UK. He is Mike Jackson from North Wales.
Oh, North Wales. There we go. I love Wales. Cardiff was one of the coolest cities I've ever been to.
Yeah,
There's a castle in the middle of town.
who doesn't like that?
Like, I'm not talking like a little castle. It's not like, there's kind of where the castle is and there's some apartments. No, it's like the grounds and a castle. It's like William the Conqueror, like 1044 style, you know?
Nice,
It's
nice.
awesome. So anyway, shout out to that dude from North Wales. Very awesome. We love hearing from you guys at Nets Talk on the go on Twitter. I'm enjoying some snow, that's for sure. I think I've got over 3 inches here. I've just had some soup for dinner. I'm gonna watch Empire Strikes Back after we
Nice,
record. So
nice,
I've got some drink, well
nice.
stocked. So yeah, I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
It's fine. I got home from work. Set up shop at the Drugan Casa. I've already shoveled once. I'm not back breaking. I refuse to back break in this situation. So I've shoveled once. We had about, I don't know, about probably about 2 inches out in the driveway as of like 6 p.m. So then there's obviously more out there now. So I'll go out and get my shovel on after we're done recording, and then I'll do one more before bedtime later.
Okay, real quick. Fang, I was really close, okay? Like
Oh, he corrected you
20,
on the. I see that
22,
now.
22 years, 1,000 years ago. Come on, dude.
Yeah. Hey,
Come on.
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Thank you. All right.
So yeah, we really just decided. I don't know about you, but when we talked about doing this, we talked about doing this a couple days ago when we saw the forecast. Because what better time to spend some time talking about baseball than when you can't do anything else?
Yes.
But I was actually mostly inclined to do it today because I'd really like Yoenis Cespedes to do something.
Yes.
I don't really care what.
Either way, I mean, yeah, love to have him in DC. That'd be nice. We've
Yeah.
got District Taco. It's fantastic. But yeah, I think this will be a good jinx for him to finally make a decision.
Yeah, well, I love how when we said we're going to record it, like at least a half dozen people were like, "Oh, hey, we know the decision will be made by 9 o'clock because that's Talk on the Coast recording at 7." So that's which is good because we'll have plenty of time tomorrow to get on and record for 20 minutes if it does happen.
Absolutely. I
So
mean, if I have power.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's always valid.
What is it? 14 inches by 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot, like in 18 inches or something by 7.
Yeah, that's good. My dog's gonna love that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All of you dog owners who I'm jealous of.
Yeah, you should be jealous.
I am. Well, let's not delay any further before spending a little time talking about Mr. Cespedes from
Uh,
Cuba.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about him. Reports came out in the last couple days that I think it was 3 days ago, the Nationals were interested in the slugger from Cuba, and have actually tendered an offer of around 5 years, $100 million. It sounds like.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the reports coming out of I think both John Heyman and Ken Rosenthal.
yeah, and the Mets have not, I want to say, not offered more than 3 years, but there's discussion of a 1 year with an opt out, which I don't see the point, or a
A 3 year with an opt out
opt out
after.
after one. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Don't really see the point in that. It's going to be a 1 year deal if there's an opt out, because everyone always opts out. It's always going to be a thing.
yeah.
Um, it would be pretty much the first time in history that a player his age, I want to say he's pushing 30,
Who's
takes
Cespedes?
Cespedes.
He's 30.
He's 30.
Yep.
So he's really pushing 30.
Yep.
Because
Yeah, because
he
he's north of it.
he has pushed 30.
Yeah.
That he foregoes a 5 year deal for a 1 year deal. It seems like dumb.
Well, it's the same thing we've talked about before when we talked about Ian Desmond. It's the betting on yourself thing. It's the I'm going to have a better year in 2016 than I did in 15, which seems unlikely. But he's saying that I think that I can do that, and if I can if I can do that, then I can get a big deal with a much weaker outfield free agent class in 2016, and see if I can get my payday, since it obviously didn't come this year. It's interesting to think. And
I don't
he would
know.
be a free agent at 30.
$100 million, $20 million a year is pretty good payday.
It's a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah, I know they're doing the Nats are looking deferred money Scherzer style,
yeah.
not quite Chris Davis style, who's going to be getting paid till he's 51.
Yeah, I was going to say 30, 20, 30 something, right?
Yeah, something insane like that until he's
Yeah.
51. But anyway, deferred money obviously takes the yearly value down, and there's no interest on that money. But still, that's some guaranteed security well into his later years, his less productive contract years. So it'd be interesting to see a player of his age. I mean, what if he gets injured? What if he has a first half like Ian Desmond, exactly like you said? I mean,
Yeah.
he's really, if he doesn't take this deal with the Nationals, which I find it very surprising that an agent who would be getting somewhere around 10% of that deal would
Right.
say, you know what? No, take that 3 year with a 1 year opt out.
Yeah.
Let's not take that. I don't actually want $10 million right now.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a hard decision. Cespedes, I think, seems like the kind of guy that would just do something because it's the thing he wants to do. And I'm not saying that based on any sort of knowledge about the person. It's just I've read people, in the know say things like that. It's like it could speak a lot to his character. He might just be like, you know what, I want to do this, and that's what it's good. How it's going to be. He'd be a free agent at 33 if he stuck around for the 3 year deal. If he had a really down 2016 instead of 35, which would basically be an end of career contract that he would get at the end of a 5 year deal.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting decision on his part. I hope he makes it soon.
Yeah.
It seems like I read an article, and I don't know how much there is to it. There are some people close to Cespedes or have been around Cespedes that say that he likes being the guy.
Right.
That's a thing that's important to him. Whereas if he came to DC, obviously Bryce Harper is.
And yeah. I think you could make an argument that there'd be like 4 guys that were the guy above him.
Right.
So that would definitely not be. That would definitely not be in the in the wheelhouse if that's something that he wants, and he would definitely be getting that in New York outside of David Wright.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting wrinkle. If that's the case, yeah, but obviously that shows more selfishness.
Yeah.
Which you want to see out of a player. You want to see, you want them to believe that they are the best and that no one is better than them, but you also want them to be a member of a team, and that's not to say anything about whether this report is actually a real thing or not, but that has been reported that he wants to be the guy where he actually would be, and he was up until the NLCS when current Nat Daniel Murphy kind of took over for
Right.
him. But he would actually be behind the MVP instead of the pretend MVP that Mets fans thought he was. It's an interesting thing because he's got 5 years, $100 million as reported on the table from a team that could very well win the National League East.
Yep.
The Mets really need to bank on that magic coming back without Daniel Murphy.
Yeah,
they've got the pitching, but
the
right
Mets
now,
are
not much
really
else.
the Mets are in a remarkable situation because you went to the World Series, you won the NL pennant in 2015, and not saying that they're not going to be good. I still think they're going to be fine because their pitching is incredibly, incredibly good. But they did nothing else. I mean, they just kind of were like, all right, we're good here. And they didn't do anything else. They let Daniel Murphy get away, whether they wanted to sign him, who, by all accounts, Daniel Murphy also wanted to go back to New York, but he waited too long and that didn't end up happening. And then, Cespedes may want to go back, but they may not be willing to offer the years. They're not offering the years they didn't offer the years for other guys. They did pick up a middle infielder, and I'm drawing a blank on who it was.
No, they've definitely solidified up the middle, but
yeah, I'm realizing now that I'm talking about it that they did something up the middle, but I don't remember what it was.
yeah. But their offense has gotten markedly worse, and if they lose Cespedes, it's going to get even worse. And you've seen what happens when teams try and rely on pitching and pitching alone. Sometimes doesn't work too well when you can only
Yeah.
score 1 or 2 runs.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
So, yeah, the interesting thing is what happens to the Nationals in 2016 if Cespedes, I'm going to go ahead and say, comes to his senses as a money-making person and signs the deal with the Washington Nationals. What happens to the Nats? Who plays where? Who goes where? Is there a secondary move? Is there a tertiary move? I
Nice.
honestly just wanted to say tertiary.
I knew it. I know. I just know you. There are a lot of really interesting things that could come of it. I think that
ASCAB.
Yeah, ASCAP. Oh yeah, that's right. Asdrubal Cabrera is who went to New York. I knew that there was somebody.
Thank you, the Baron.
Nice. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. So I think there are a lot of things that could happen. I think the likeliest. First of all, I want to say this, and I've been saying this, and I believe it. If Asdrubal, if Yoenis Cespedes signs in DC, these things have a tendency of working themselves out. You put together the best 25 players that you possibly can put together, because believe it or not, it's not just the 9 guys on the field that matter. There are 25 people on a major league roster.
What?
I know, but it doesn't just matter what the starting lineup is. It matters what kind of depth that the team has in a whole bunch of different positions. And as a general rule, you look beyond the 25-man roster and you look at the 5-6 guys below that provide organizational depth, because at some point during the season, you're going to have to call up somebody for basically every position on the field. It's just the way that a 162-game baseball season works. So if the Nationals go out and get Cespedes, I do not believe under any circumstances the Nationals have to make a trade.
Right.
I think it's insane to say, oh, they have Cespedes, so they have to get rid of Jason Worth, or they have to get rid of Ben Revere, who just got here, or you have to try to move Michael Taylor. I think any of those moves would be remarkably ridiculous, because injuries happen, and you still need organizational depth, and Michael Taylor still could use minor league at-bats. So there are a whole lot of options there that I think make more sense than making any sort of trade for anybody currently on the roster.
Yeah, it definitely goes back to, I know we've talked about it before, but I believe former pitching coach Steve McHattie, now Lake County pitching coach Steve McHattie, said you really need 8 major league quality starting pitchers to start the season, because there will be injuries and there will be doubleheaders that need starts and that kind of thing. And I want to say it was Andrew Flax at Andrew Flax TNB who said that in the last 2 years, the Nationals' fourth outfielder on the depth chart got over 400. It might have even been over 500 plate appearances.
I know that Mark Zuckerman tweeted about having fourth or fifth outfielders getting 500 plate appearances the last 2 years.
Okay, it must have been Zuck then. Sorry, Andrew, it wasn't you.
Well, the fact that they're playing on the same level is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Not bad at all. But yeah, it just goes to show that depth is so important. And what happens in the outfield it won't be a permanent thing. And there could be even a 5-man outfield rotation. But let's simplify it a little bit. If hypothetically, the Nationals do get Cespedes' signature on the contract, what is the opening day outfield?
I mean, if Cespedes is on the team and you sign him for $100 million contract, it would stand to reason that you find a place for him on opening day. Now,
yes.
I know that the conversation on Twitter is that, oh, well, obviously Jason Worth isn't going to start, because that seems to be like the common misconception, which makes no sense. If you're going to start the $100 million guy, you definitely start the $127 million guy. So I think it probably ends up being Worth in left, Cespedes in center, and Harper in right. If Cespedes is on the team with Revere on the bench, and that's assuming health. Again, that's the whole point of what I was saying before. But I think that would be how I would guess it would end up.
Right.
What about you?
I honestly don't know.
I mean, yeah,
that makes sense to me. Worth's health is the main thing. Which player is Worth? And at the age that he is, I want to say he's 37.
Mm-hmm.
He could pick up a knock in spring training, anything like that. But
he's 36. But
age 37 season.
May 20th. So age 37 season.
Age 37 season.
Yeah.
So I would probably Cespedes in center field terrifies the crap out of me.
Oh, it's not good.
So I would much rather, and nothing against Jason Worth because I love Jason Worth, but I would much rather see Cespedes in left, Ben Revere in center, and then Bryce Harper, of course, in right field. To start, I just think that would help the lineup flow just a little bit more.
Yeah.
As well, the offensive lineup, it would help a lot. I think having Ben Revere's speed in there more so. But how do you bench a player that's due $42 million in the next 2 years, who's been there through tough times, who's been such a team leader? It's a really tough call. And I'm not saying that Jason Worth would be the fourth outfielder, but I'm saying it would be Ben Revere, Jason Worth 3A, 3B kind of thing. Where you would see Harper in center, maybe you would see Cespedes in center sometimes, and when that wasn't the case, it would be Ben Revere.
I think that's ultimately the point. Like the whole point that you had to make going into it is like, yeah, this is all considering that Jason Worth is healthy, and you don't know, or for that matter, if Bryce Harper is healthy, which you don't know. Bryce Harper is just coming off of his first fully healthy season ever, so it's. You never know what's going to happen, and the more depth that you could have, and I think that if you end up signing Cespedes and he comes to DC, yeah, you have a bit of a logjam there, but that doesn't mean that you can't get guys the time that they need, and that doesn't mean that injuries aren't going to happen. So Bryce Harper, if he's healthy, plays 100, as many games as he's.
Oh, you're not going to sit Bryce Harper. He's not going to let you sit Bryce Harper.
Well,
Dusty Baker wouldn't sit Bryce Harper.
No, and he's not going to sit, and he shouldn't. He's an MVP. I'm not saying you sit him. I'm just saying he sits as many games. Like, there were a couple of games in 2015 that he sat because he was banged up. Right. Not because he never was on the disabled list, but he was a little banged up, and so he missed a couple of games because he got hit in the whatever, in the back or whatever ended up happening. So I think that that those are the kind of situations that I'm talking about. And enough of those happen that you can get a fourth outfielder, enough plate appearances. And I pulled up the tweet just so I can get it right from Zuckerman. Each of the last 4 years, Nats have given 500-plus plate appearances to fourth and fifth outfielders. Everyone will get their playing.
Last 4 years?
The last 4 seasons.
God, that's depressing.
This was the whole impetus for signing Nate McLouth. That was the whole reason to spend $20 million on a fourth outfielder because of that, and then your fourth outfielder got hurt.
Yeah.
But that's the whole reason that you do that. These things tend to work themselves out. The only season that I can remember, I think it was the 2012 season when the Nationals, won 98 games. The pitching rotation was healthy all year, and it was the most remarkable thing ever because it never ever happens.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things don't happen. You figure in for serious injuries during the year, and that's why I'm not worried about it. I don't think the Nationals will make a single move if they end up getting Cespedes, because I don't think they have to.
So you don't buy into the fact that the Nationals will say package, and I know at Nationals 101 made this deal, Michael A. Taylor, AJ Cole for Jonathan Lucroy. You don't think there's any need to do that, or you don't think it will happen?
I would love to see Jonathan Lucroy on the Nats. So I'm not going to say there's no need to do it. I think that it was Taylor and who?
Taylor and AJ Cole.
That's compelling. I think that's compelling from the Nationals' perspective. That said, I would say that Michael A. Taylor has a lot of team control.
He has an incredible amount of team control.
Yeah, and Lucroy does not. I don't know. That's hard because I think AJ Cole is going to end up being what I always expected him to be, a reliever of some sort. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter. But man, that's so Lucroy. I'm sorry, I was just looking up. Lucroy is under contract for 15 with an option year under contract for 16 with an option year for 17. So the Nationals would have him for 2 years, but a very, very controllable center fielder. And then, I don't know, certainly a top 10 prospect. I would imagine Cole would still be on that level of a top 10 prospect. Maybe not.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
He might have aged out.
Yeah. The Nats blog prospect review, which is available on the natsblog.com, has AJ Cole at number 7.
Well, there we go. Zach's the man.
So yeah, I wanted to tease that a little bit, but that's a hard decision, but I think there'd be a lot of benefit to it. I wouldn't be against it. But there's a thing that you have to remember with making that kind of move. And yes, there are seasons in the future, and I don't know what the free agent market is in 2017. I know what it is in 2016, after 2016, I don't know what it looks like after 2017. Is after 2017 the year?
Yes.
That is the year, isn't it?
The year.
So, I would say I'm sitting on this one.
You're struggling.
I'm struggling.
Struggle bus.
I would say that getting Lucroy for 2 years is valuable enough that giving up those two pieces would probably be worth it, but only for like Lucroy, not for something that would be any less than that.
Yeah. I guess the main point I was really trying to get at is, do you see a need to trade Michael A. Taylor?
I don't see a need to trade Michael A. Taylor. I think that no, there is no need at all to trade Michael A. Taylor. Very controllable, has options. There's no need at all. If you can get arguably one of the best catchers in Major League Baseball for him, then you put him on the table. That's how I feel about it.
That's fair.
What do you think?
I think right now Michael A. Taylor is a bonus.
Yeah.
He has I want to say less than 70, maybe 75 AAA plate appearances.
Yeah, he hasn't had much time.
He's got options. There's no need to get rid of him now. Obviously, we've discussed ad nauseum. We know ballpark what kind of player we think he will end up being. But there's value in that, and there's no reason to give that up right now, especially when there is a catching tandem of Ramos and Lobaton that is good.
Yes, it is.
If Ramos is hurt, which happens every single year, Lobaton is a very suitable replacement. And there were actually many calls towards the middle of last season that said Lobaton should be the starter.
And I think on a lot of Major League Baseball teams, Jose Lobaton would be the starting catcher.
So I think there's no need to go out and chase a catcher who had a very down 2015 in
Yep.
Jonathan Lucroy and give up a center fielder with team control for years and years, a phenomenally gifted defensive center fielder with some
Yep.
pop. I don't think there's any need to give up a player like that. And AJ Cole, who could very well end up, um, an eighth inning guy, a ninth inning guy.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I could go either way on it. I think if you can get Lucroy for, I guess giving up Cole along with Taylor is a lot.
Yeah, another player with eons of team control.
Yeah, but one or the other and an org guy could make it more compelling, probably.
Yeah. I don't see the point. I don't think the catching situation is as bad as everyone says or everyone thinks.
I think you're probably right about that. I mean, I really like Jose Lobaton. He's a switch hitting catcher with plus defensive ability.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude can frame a pitch.
Exactly. And until robot umpires come around, then
Right. So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't see the point as much. I don't think I'm fine with stashing Michael A. Taylor in the minors for a little bit if for some reason Cespedes, gosh, signs. It's Roark, not Rourke. It's Cespedes, not Cespedes. Cespedes, whatever. I've been drinking, clearly.
Get it together, Craig.
I'm so sorry. No, I just don't see a reason to trade players within team control that can add value years and years down the road for a catcher when there's really not a desperate need at catcher. It's not like, bullpen or anything.
I agree. Yeah,
so,
I understand that. I know a lot of people in Natstown are a big fan of Jonathan Lucroy, and I really like Jonathan Lucroy. I just I think the reason I was stuttering and hesitating on it so much is just the Cole and Taylor for Lucroy thing seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole lot.
It's a lot of team control for 2 years of a catcher that had a really bad year. Well, not a really bad, really down for him year.
Yeah.
In 2015. But one or the other of them and an org guy makes it more compelling, and I might be willing to make that kind of move.
Especially if it's Cole.
Yeah, well, especially if it's Cole, for sure.
One of my favorite theories going around about this whole Cespedes signing, the National League is in a place right now where the designated hitter is closer than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it could happen as soon as 2017 after the next collective bargaining agreement. I'm sure this is going to come across as a hashtag hot take. I'm okay with it. It's overdue.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I know.
Of course you are.
We talked about it last year. I know we spent part of an episode talking about. I don't know if it was during the season or in the off season, but I know we've talked about it before. And yeah, I think we're both kind of on the same page. Like, it's one of those things where having a league that ultimately ends up playing each other for a championship with a different set of rules is pretty dumb. And at some point, like, you find a middle ground, and the players union's obviously going to like it because it's going to employ more of their guys for more of the year, at least theoretically, because you're going to be able to keep hitters in the lineup more, and pitchers are going to be less likely to get hurt because they're not going to, at least while they're not pitching, because they don't have to hit and run. So there's definitely a lot of advantages from a collective bargaining agreement standpoint. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are really angry about that, but a lot of people were really angry when the AL came about it too, and now nobody that's the fan of an AL team's complaining.
Right, so, and we're in an extreme pitching era right now.
Yes. Which, by the way, I love because I fucking love pitching.
I love pitching as well.
Most people do not.
But we're at a point where the numbers look kind of like they were back when Bob Gibson was absolutely dominating and they lowered the mound.
Right. Right.
The numbers are that extreme. Like,
right.
It's not really an exaggeration that offense is down so much that, the last time offense was down this much, they changed the way that baseball diamonds were constructed.
Yeah, well, and when you go and you look at at numbers, there have been more no-hitters and perfect games in the last, 5 or 6 years than there had been in the previous 20-something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there is an ebb and flow to baseball, but typically during that ebb and flow, Major League Baseball decides to change something because there's only so much time that can go. This isn't a thing that's been going on for a year. This has been a long thing since the end of the era of PEDs that pitching has just started to dominate.
Right, and I'm as big a fan of the strategy of the National League as anyone, but it's gotten
me too. I love it.
Yeah, it's gotten to be a point where it's kind of gotten painful to watch how little pitchers care. I mean, you'll get the rare pitcher up there like Gio Gonzalez, who's gonna
Max Scherzer too.
Max Scherzer as well, Steven Strasburg, who's got a silver slugger. You've seen some pitchers out there who really try. Zach Greinke, Madison Bumgarner, who actually, what is it? Madison Bumgarner has more home runs per plate appearance hitting than he has giving up as a pitcher.
Yeah, that sounds right because he's insanely good.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So there are the rare exceptions.
Bartolo Colon, which is always a treat.
Right. But there are also a vast larger number of pitchers that go up there and stand there with a bat on their shoulder and it's an easy out.
Like you get these situations where you have something happens and a reliever has to hit and he literally stands with his heels on the chalk and just stands there and doesn't move and goes and sits down. We saw it last year in a Nationals game. I don't remember if it was a Nationals pitcher or an opposing team pitcher, but it happens and it's just, it belittles the game. And my argument was always the same kind of thing, right? The gamesmanship of, do I pull my pitcher? Do I do the whole thing? And somebody made an argument and I totally, it kind of didn't change my opinion on it, but it definitely opened my eyes to it. If Buck Showalter or Joe Madden, when he was with Tampa Bay, had to pull a pitcher, is it really, I understand that you have a pitcher spot coming up, so you have to burn a guy. And so it makes it a little more complicated, but it's still pretty complicated for a manager to decide if he wants to pull a pitcher in the middle of an inning. I mean, it's still a very difficult decision.
It might actually show that the manager has to pay attention more to exactly how the pitcher is throwing. Exactly,
rather than just saying, well, his spot's coming up, so I got to leave him in there because otherwise then I'm going to burn an extra guy. So
so it might, I've heard that argument that it actually might be more strategic because you have to be more in tune with the pitcher and the entire staff. And how they're doing than with the NL where it's, the situation requires me that I have to make this change. Because
looking at the players on the field rather than just the overall situation of what's happening.
Yeah, because I have a runner on first, although he's at 80 pitches, I have a runner on second and I need to get him home.
Right.
So I'm for the DH on the record in the National League. I'm for it. Which, like I said, adds another wrinkle into the whole Cespedes signing. That would, if it happened in 2017, where the National League had the DH, you wouldn't worry about 4 outfielders. You could have Ben Revere playing center field. You could have Bryce Harper in right. You could have Cespedes in left. And you could have Jason Worth, taking care of his body and hitting DH.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of options there.
Ryan Zimmerman.
Not to mention that you have Jason Worth, whose contract is going to be ending at the time that the collective bargaining agreement's up, and Bryce Harper, whose contract's ending.
Right.
So you're not going to have this very deep outfield. If you sign Cespedes in 2 years, you'll have Michael A. Taylor and Cespedes. That's going to be your outfield. Obviously you're going to get other people and things are going to happen, but I'm saying of people on the team right now, it's not that this long-term depth exists. It's, we're no longer in the times where, Bryce Harper is controllable for a very long time and Jason Worth's on this really long deal. He's coming to the end of that deal and Bryce Harper's, rookie contract's almost up.
Yeah.
So and the designated hitter just adds another interesting little piece to that.
Yeah, I'm for the DH. I think it should happen. I think it's time.
Yeah, I'm indifferent to the DH. I'm not for the DH. I'm not against the DH. I think that when it inevitably happens, because it's going to inevitably happen,
It's going to happen in the next 5 years, whether we like it or not.
For sure. So I think it'll be fine. I think there are a lot of people are going to be really pissed about it, and they're going to pretend that they're not going to watch baseball, but then they're going to watch baseball anyway because you're not going to stop watching baseball. So
I dig the long ball.
yeah, exactly. I do dig the long ball, but I also like pitching, and so I think that once you have two leagues that are kind of like on the same field of play, if you will, then
Nice.
it kind of changes the way that everything is looked at. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just indifferent to it. So I guess that means that I'm for it because I'm not one of the people that's like, oh my God, it'd be the worst thing that ever happened to baseball.
Yeah, I'm
Because
pretty sure
it's obviously not.
pretty sure I just got disowned by my brother for saying that. So
No, that's fair.
yeah.
That's fair. But
And real quick, sorry, Michelle. Jason Worth will not be playing first base. It's not going to happen.
yeah, I this is my so here's my thing about first base, right? Like people inevitably think like a player's old and he's aging, so immediately he can play first base. Like that's not how it works. And there are a lot of people who immediately assume that. But like, okay, Buster Posey was a catcher who had a nearly career-ending type injury, so he plays a little bit of first base. Joe Mauer, catchers in a lot of situations end up going and playing some first base just because there's only a certain amount of time that your knees can handle doing what they do until you have to stand up a little bit. But they're guys that can pick a ball in the dirt. They can stretch and they can do things. They do well in those situations. But Ryan Zimmerman moving from third base to first base, yes, there's an adjustment, but he was routinely picking balls coming at him off of a dirt, off of infield that he's familiar with. It makes a difference. But just to have a guy that, is not a good fielder and then in his aging or whatever, and then saying you're going to move them to first base because they're not a good baseball player, they're much better off in left field than they are at first base.
It reminds me of Aaron Sorkin's classic movie Moneyball, wherein Brad Pitt is meeting with Andy Dwyer's Scott Hatterberg.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going to move you from catcher to first base. He's like, I never played first base. And Brad Pitt says, oh, it's easy. It's no problem at all. And the guy playing Ron Washington goes, it's incredibly hard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like,
that's what it reminds me of. It's not an easy position. You can't just put someone there.
Exactly. And that's not to say Jason Worth couldn't learn the position, but he would be much better off staying in left field where he could do the least possible amount of damage. Because you put your worst fielder in left field. That's where you put him. That's just always the way it works. You put your best fielder in left field.
Or a DH.
or a DH, right. But the current setup of the Washington Nationals, that's you put your worst fielder in left field.
Yes, I know you were thinking when Ryan Zimmerman gets hurt, Michelle. I understand. But that's
what Clint Robinson's for.
That's what Clint Robinson and Tyler Moore are for.
Exactly. Yeah. I totally, or Daniel Murphy for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, there are just a lot more. Man, Danny Espinosa played there last year, and I'd be more comfortable than Jason Worth playing.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that Danny Espinosa is not nearly tall enough.
He is short, but he has a good beard and
yes,
he has good hats.
Yeah, yes, he does. So ultimately, to round up before we get into questions, because I do want to get into those questions. Where do you think Cespedes ends up, and when do you think it happens?
I think he is going to stay in New York, and I think it happens this weekend.
Yeah, I think he's going. Okay, so I obviously agree. So I think
of course you do.
He's going to stay with the Mets, so I'm going to have to change it up. I think that he signs on Saturday by 4 p.m.
Nice.
So get a little more specific then, at least.
When everyone around here has lost power. So
exactly.
So
and cannot see what's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other things? Before we do questions?
I think there's a question that actually applies almost to this situation, so maybe we could start with that one.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me. Maybe you do. It's something along the lines of the clubhouse issues that
so
prevented.
Beth sent us a message, said, have clubhouse issues been a factor in missing out on free agents? How much of this do you think is real versus the easy explanation? if real, what are theories as to what those theories are, or what those reasons are, excuse me.
You want to
So
go first?
no, go ahead. Take it.
I'm going to go ahead and drop Occam's razor on everyone.
Okay.
The simplest solution is usually the one that's right.
Yeah.
It's a popular doctor trope. When you hear horses, think horses, not zebras.
Yeah.
So if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, and acts like a duck, it's probably a duck. And I'm just trying to say, if it looks like clubhouse issues are a thing, they're probably a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Zobrist, in his interviews about the Nationals' offer, he specifically mentioned clubhouse issues. He said, I do not feel comfortable in that clubhouse. He literally said that. And that's probably due to the fact that one player choked another player and really got off with a slap on the wrist.
And in public.
Yes.
It makes it very it's a questionable set of circumstances. I agree with the sentiment. I wasn't going to put it that way, but I do think it's definitely a factor. I think that when you look at not even just the clubhouse issue around Jonathan Papelbon, just it was very obvious and was reported widely nationally in the baseball world in 2015 that the Nationals organization was a clusterfuck. The manager had no control. He didn't know what was going on. They have a new manager, but the hierarchy above that manager is still the same.
Yes.
And when you're looking to sign a long-term deal and you have comparable deals within a couple $1 million between different cities, and then you consider the fact that some of those cities offer better tax situations than coming to DC, then all of a sudden you go, well, it's really going to be about the same amount of money. That situation's, and even if that's a couple $1 million more, we're talking tens and tens, and occasionally hundreds in the case of Jason Hayward, hundreds of millions of dollars. And you say, well, I don't want to be in that situation. This is about the same amount of money, and I'm going to go and play for Joe Madden and Theo Epstein. Oh, that sounds better. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to blame them in that situation. And it's coming off of a particularly rough year. I don't know that if it speaks to total organizational dysfunction or a bad year. I think only time will tell of that. But I think there's something to it. And I think to dismiss it as, oh, well, it happens in every clubhouse or whatever. Well, we're not hearing about it. So this is a thing that everybody's hearing about, and it's on a big national stage, and players are hearing about it, and they care about it. So
yeah,
I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of people would say it's the quote lazy narrative.
Yeah,
I don't think it is, because everyone's writing about it. Everyone's discussed the dysfunction within the National clubhouse, from Sports Illustrated to the Washington Post to everyone in between. It's a problem.
There are a lot of people who could write a lot of things with lazy narrative. If you can say that a guy like Barry Svrluga is writing things that have lazy narrative, you haven't read baseball writing, because he's very good at it, and he has pointedly made excellent references to a lot of issues that he would certainly have the knowledge of knowing from being in that clubhouse during the course of a year.
Barry
Svrluga is not taking the lazy narrative. Maybe your shock jock on ESPN is, but Barry Svrluga is not.
And if you look at it at the end of the day, we could see Jason Hayward, Ben Zobrist, and Yoenis Cespedes turn down more money from the Washington Nationals to sign elsewhere. Regardless of where, regardless of situation, turning down more money, which rarely happens in professional sports, to stay out of Washington, to not come here. They're taking less money to not come here. That's once is a fluke, twice is meh.
Yeah.
Three times is...
3 times in one off season.
Yeah. So
in one winter.
I would say there's a problem there. And I would say it's, the perception of the clubhouse, because I'm going to say perception because obviously you or I are both not in the clubhouse and we don't actually know. We just know what's reported. But the perception of the public and the perception of apparently other players is that there is a massive amount of dysfunction between the Nationals front office and within the clubhouse itself. So, yeah, Beth, I do think it's an issue, and I don't know how you address it. Hopefully, a good
Well,
season with Dusty Baker at the helm.
exactly. I think
Do it.
part of how you address it is you fire the manager and you clean house on the staff, which is exactly what they did outside of what Shu and Bob Henley.
Yeah.
So I think they made a move in the right direction. But now it's a matter of whether or not things appear better after the 2016 season to see if the team can continue to be competitive on the free agent market in the future, or whether or not more changes need to be made.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to go on to Michelle's question. She's asked a few other ones, but we talked about those at length during the show. So she wants to know if Papelbon can rehab his image, and will it take Bryce being his BFF?
No, he can't, because he never had a good image in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to rehab your image, you have to have had a good image at some point during your career, and he never has.
Yeah.
So
you just hope they can deal with it and that it won't turn into a big thing.
I think that he's going to, if and when, and I think it's when he closes his first game at Nationals Park in 2016, he is going to get mercilessly destroyed and booed. And I think as the year goes on, if he pitches well, the fans will be indifferent. I don't think that they will ever come around. I think they'll cheer at the end of a win, not for Papelbon, but for the win, and I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that any photo op or a hangout with Bryce Harper is going to fix that at this point.
It'll be very much like Soriano. No one cared about the untuck. No one cared.
Yeah, it was just a game was won.
Yep.
And that was what mattered. Molly asks, and we kind of talked about it, but it could be relevant to a bunch of other places on the field. Who might be traded away before spring training? She asks, in other words, would a Michael Taylor jersey be a huge mistake? So I'll say the Michael Taylor jersey would not be a huge mistake. I don't think. He could very well be traded, but at the same time, I don't think he will be. And I think that he's going to be in the organization for a little while. Also, really good guy. So you can't go wrong with buying a Michael Taylor jersey.
I would hold off on a Michael Taylor jersey. Just because of the uncertainty.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying you can't go wrong because he's a good guy. But wait until April.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Honestly, right now, if I were to buy a jersey, who would I buy? I would probably buy a Max Scherzer jersey.
Yeah, that would be the jersey to buy at the moment, I think.
As much as I adore Anthony Rendon,
yeah.
Here's the thing. I adore Max Scherzer and his wife.
Yeah.
As a team, the two is better than the one Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, that's a good. They are a good power DC couple in all the best senses of the word.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm a fan. I think Rendon is always a good purchase. It doesn't matter what ends up happening. Ryan Zimmerman is always a good jersey purchase.
Bryce Harper
is going to be good no matter what happens in a couple of years, but he's still around in a couple of years. He won an MVP in DC. That's a good purchase as well.
Yeah.
But if you're committed to Michael A. Taylor, I wholly support that. But yeah, maybe wait till April.
Yep.
And then on the other question, any other thoughts on somebody that you might think could get his trade papers before opening day? Any thoughts on any other moves that could be made?
Who else could be traded? The only other player that could be traded that won't be traded is Jason Worth.
Yeah.
He won't be traded. There's no one. I mean, the Nationals would have to eat $30 million, and it's just not going to happen because I don't think they want to trade Jason Worth. He's such a great clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
But that's the only other person that I think the Nationals would feel the need to trade, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I don't see the need to trade him, obviously, as we discussed, but he is one of them. Maybe no one's going to take Papelbon.
No.
So, I mean, no. I think the most likely, and by most likely, I mean like 5% would be Jason Worth.
Yeah, the only caveat that I would add to that is if they do end up deciding to make a trade for a guy like Lucroy, they'd have to put together a package. And in that case, I think Ramos would definitely go because what else is your option? I think that you would. I think that in general, Lobaton, who is a better defensive catcher, makes a better backup of if they decide to move for a catcher. That would be my only little piece of change.
Yeah.
On that note.
Yeah.
Carl asks, if we sign Cespedes, how do we package Taylor to get Andrew Miller? And my answer would be Taylor is not the answer to that request.
Yeah.
I think that it would require something along the lines of like, I don't know, not Giolito, but like
Robles.
yeah, like way more than I would ever be willing to give up for a closer. I think that Robles, Reynaldo Lopez,
Yeah.
like something. Eric
Someone we
Fetty,
don't want to give up.
yeah, all top 5 prospect type guys,
Yeah.
not named Lucas Giolito. So,
which once again, Zach Spedden at the Nats blog, check it out. Top prospects.
yes, you should check it out. I'm using that now. The looking now at the list of top prospects that Zach Spedden has come up with. So you should check it out. Teaser, the top 2 are Giolito and Trey Turner. So there's your teaser. But you should check that out if you're interested in what the organization looks like depth wise and how you can check out everything going on there. So any other pieces to add before we wrap up this lovely David Snowy episode of Nats Talk on the Go?
Were there any other questions that we missed?
No, I think that was all the ones. I usually tend to save all the questions.
I don't think you saved tacos for anyone.
Oh, I did not save tacos for anyone.
No.
I promise you that. They were housed.
They look so good, man.
Yeah, they were well done. I have to admit, even though I cooked them myself.
Yeah.
They were yummy. I love tacos.
Oh my god!
When I heard that we were going to get snowed in, I was like, you know what? I have to get taco-y things. That's going to be a thing because I'll have 2 days worth of tacos. Well, and by 2 days I mean 2 meals worth of tacos, and then I'll have to go on to the next thing as I go and dig myself out of snowy horribleness.
Yeah, I did the soup.
Soup is always good. I should have gone with the crock pot thing. I usually do when I'm whether it's crock pot chili or some other sort of like stew type thing.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get my shit together enough to do it.
See, I wanted to do the crock pot. I planned to do the crock pot. I had the time to do the crock pot, but my crock pot's not big enough for the soup I was trying to make.
Well, that's a problem. Then you just have to put it in a massive stovetop pot,
which I have several.
Yeah.
So I did that instead. I had a nice beef and barley soup.
Ooh, beef and barley! Look at you.
Yeah. Well, I'm a cook, Joe. I do the cooking.
I know it? So do I.
And let's be real. My wife made this one.
Ah, nice.
She rocked it pretty good. So
nice.
And then tomorrow is a bean soup, a white bean soup with ham.
Oh, that sounds delicious. So you're really souping. The McHenrys are really souping it up this weekend.
I'm gonna soup it up a little bit. I bought the 2-pack of the Italian pane bread from Wendy's.
Nice.
So nice. Pretty excited about that. It was warm when I grabbed it this morning.
That's always the best when you go into the fresh baked bread section and you picked up the bread that's still warm. You're like, I just want to eat this whole thing right now.
Like I almost, to steal a phrase, I almost housed it right there.
Nice. I probably would have.
It was really good. I mean, I might have some ice cream after this podcast.
I definitely have a significant amount of ice cream. So what ended up happening was I went grocery shopping over this past weekend because, these are the things you do. You go grocery shopping to get ready for the week before I really kind of believed that the storm was actually going to happen.
Because adult.
Right, because that's, living the life. And you go through and like I got all the things, made the list, checked it twice, got home and was like, okay, the storm's going to happen. So on Tuesday, you got to go grocery shopping because you got to get the things for next week because I certainly wasn't going today because I don't hate myself. So I went through and picked up all the stuff. And then it's like on Wednesday, it's like, oh, right, I forgot I guessed. And then you go through and you pick up like 5 more things. And then it's like Thursday comes around, you're like, oh, right, turns out I'm out of shampoo, and that's going to be important. As long as I have power, I'm going to shower. And then, so you got to get that. And then you're like, oh, and then, it'd be good to have tortilla chips in order to make a taco salad the second day after the tacos. So I should get
nice.
So I ended up going grocery shopping like 4 times over the course of the week. And it's like, but now I have like, I have two things of ice cream. I've got all of the frozen pizza. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And in all that time, because every decision I made was like, I was there at the moment, decided to do it. I never put a thing together to do a crock pot thing, which is why it didn't happen.
You know what I did that I thought was a pro tip?
What's that?
What was it? Wednesday afternoon, I bought a rotisserie chicken, and
Nice.
just no plans for it, just to have a rotisserie chicken. You
Can't go
know,
wrong.
and today lunch had a quesadilla with said rotisserie chicken.
Nice.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, I love doing that. Just got to have some tortillas around. You use the chicken. Yeah, it's good
It
stuff.
was it was fantastic. It was really good. It was really good. Real quick, before we wrap it up, real quick, uh, we are 4 followers away from 300. I would love to get there like now.
Nice. That's on the Pied Piper there, Jay Worth's beard to
Jay
work up
Worth
the
Beard, who
magic.
by the way did not know we were recording.
Yeah, how does that happen?
I
Beard
don't
is
know.
always on top of it. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It's super weird.
It is weird. Yeah. Oh, so Beth is calling us out for having a food and drinks uh, podcast, and we should probably have her on for an at Nats drinks segment. So I think that's
You
probably
know what?
something to do. That'd be fun.
I I think it would be a lot of fun, as long as she doesn't share her margarita recipe, because I want that one just for myself.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. Oh, so I want it just for myself, in that I just want to give a bunch of limes and have her make them because she's really good at it.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
but I also want to say I thought about this the other night, and so I'm glad that Beth tweeted. I was at Whole Foods a couple weeks ago, and they have that machine where it's all the fresh oranges, and they just drop in there, and it does all the work for you and squeezes
No
them
way.
to make a fresh orange juice. And I'm like, oh my god, we need to get one of these for Beth in order to make margaritas. Because you can just put the lemons in there, and it like drops in there, it squeezes it for you all
It's
down
it's
into the
it's
little
limes,
container.
Joe. Limes.
What did I say?
Lemons.
Yeah, limes. My bad. I know it's limes. I'm not that stupid.
You just got really excited talking about it. I
I was so
understand. I've
excited
been
talking
there.
about this machine. So we
And
need to
Beth's
procure one of those
margaritas.
for Beth.
Yeah.
That would be clutch. Regular Beth Dahlman margs. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
So good shout out. Like it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a food and drink segment every once in a while.
yeah, that would be really nice. And I'm sure in the next, month or month and a half or whatever, we'll start planning our next live show,
Yes,
which
because
will
believe it
feature
or not, the
guests.
season's coming up.
Well, it's coming up, and we have guests that we have to have on. We have charitable guests
I know. I'm excited about it.
that get time.
I'm excited to talk to those guests that will reveal.
I'm gonna be honest. Since like, when was that? September?
What?
When we did that,
I think it was August, but yeah,
August. I've had a running note of questions for said guests.
that's awesome.
So
Look
that's
at you
gonna be
planning
fun.
far more than me.
Well, it's just I think of a stupid, ridiculous question, and I'm like, oh, this is a question for Fang, or this is a question for the Nana Dude.
Nice. Yeah, I
So,
look forward to that. That'll be a really good time.
so yeah, next show, live show, will be happening sometime in 2016. Let's just put it there and not be any more specific.
Yeah, because I don't want to commit to something we can't follow through on. We've been really, really good about recording almost every week this off season, so we're doing our best. But and speaking of, head over to the new natstalkonthego.com website that you can go over to. Soon there will be there's some links at the top there that are currently not populated, but I'm working on it. I'm working on getting it up, but it is going to allow you to stream the podcast from your web browser pretty easily in a much prettier setup than it was before. So you should give that a look, and go give that a look see, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and watch Empire Strikes Back right now, and
God, that's a good choice.
by watching Empire Strikes Back, I'm just gonna like watch two cats out back like fight,
Nice.
because my backyard is Hoth right now. Apparently,
Is it really? Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
It's not nice outside.
Yeah, I've been sitting in my little closed-in cave with my blinds closed, so I'll be looking forward to seeing what it looks like outside when we sign off. So if you're listening live, or if you're listening on Saturday during this crazy snowstorm, stay safe, stay warm, stay safe.
Hashtag stay safe.
And stay warm, and hope you guys have fun hanging out during the lovely winter weather. We'll talk to you again soon, and I hope that you like the however Cespedes signs here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
That's right.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.